Hello, as you can see by the contents of my table and actually by video description, today I will tell you about FiiO's recently released flagship balanced armature in-ear monitors FA9. FiiO is pretty consistent in their lineup development. They have two lines of in-ear monitors, hybrid and balanced armatures. So they have FH5 and FH7 as high-end hybrids and FA7 and FA9 as pure balanced armatures. Of course, I already reviewed all three previous models, and actually their previous balanced armature flagship FA7 was tuned a bit unusual with a lot of additional bass and lower mids, and for the FA9 they promised to change the tuning, creating more audiophilic, more natural and more technical representation, also adding a lot of features. You know, it's always the case about the FiiO. If they're trying to do something, they put maximum effort to deliver the best value, and this model is not an exception. Here I used 6 nose balanced armatures per each earpiece. Also you will get the sound tuning system using micro switches, and also they implemented really unusual acoustic schema. I will show it a bit later. Price is $500. Of course, it's on the expensive side, but you know, it's still more affordable than many other companies' flagships. And let's have a closer look. Package is big, nice black cardboard with unusual cover. On the back side there is a short instruction of how this tuning switches work. As you can see, edges are varied a little bit, but I don't think it's a big issue. Package is anyway stylish and attractive. As usual, inside of the main box you will have another box, and here are earphones themselves. I will put them aside for a while. We'll show you the set of tips. So absolutely huge, gorgeous set of tips. So balanced tips, like they look this way. Also you will have a set of spin fits, 3 pairs, third one is on the earphones, 2 pair of memory foams, vocal tips, here they are, and double flange tips pair and bass tips. So we've seen almost all that tips before, previously in different models, but have such a big collection with your earphones, it's a good thing. Nice Fox leather case, looks pretty attractive. Additional storage pouch for quick organizing to carry your earphones with you. Also magnet clip, really good tool for organizing the cable, and also you will have the cleaning tool combined with a small screwdriver for switches adjustment. That switches are really tiny, so you will need this tool definitely. And here are earphones themselves. Also you will get the stripe of Velcro for the cable organization. Slide zoom in to show them to you. They look pretty attractive. Nice diamond-like cut of the faceplates, and shells 3D printed of medical resin. And you can see this labyrinth inside. It's actually the bass tubes. So inside located 80 millimeters or 8 centimeters of this tube for the bass damping, so really unusual and specially calculated and prepared shape of this tube. You can see the internals, pretty interesting. So bass drivers, probably mid frequencies, and I think these are tweeters, but it's just my guess. So here is tuning toggles, and shape is really ergonomic itself, nice 3D printed. Spouts have average length, so sound isolation is also average. Small lip for holding the tips, protective grill. I wonder, will anyone try to remove these grills, as it's usually #1 thing to try among the audiophiles community. And overall good build quality, nice finish, pretty attractive design. If I remember right, they exist in the transparent clean version, and also there is a black smoke version. About the sound tuning, probably I will postpone that part to the sound part of this review. Overall good ergonomics, everything is smooth, shape is fitting to vast majority of ears. Stock cable is nice, as usual. FiiO has really good lineup of cables. They released some flagship model recently. I haven't tested, but I suspect it's really good. Sorry for the strain. It's summer, it's really hot. I opened the window, and train is always came out of nowhere where I expected the least. Anyway, so stock cable is nice, it's soft, it looks attractive, maybe not super soft, but average in terms of softness, but almost zero microphonic effects, not getting hard when it's cold. You can see that there are 3 or 4 wires per each ear. Actually, I need to count them. Looks like 3, but not sure here. Anyway, pretty thick, well braided, looks attractive, nice high quality cable. Metal splitter, chin slider, and pretty reliable jack. Of course, here used MMCX connectors. FiiO almost always use MMCX in their expensive models, really tightly fit. And of course there are a lot of third-party cables offered by FiiO, different materials, different connectors. It would be nice to see a balanced cable with some kind of adapter here, but probably they decided to include one most universal. As you can see, in terms of presentation, in terms of build quality, accessory set, FiiO definitely tried to deliver as much as possible, and probably they succeed. And of course, about the sound, this model doesn't require burn-in, it's balanced armatures. Balanced armatures rarely require some extended burn-in, but they require tons and tons of experiments. Even with stock tips, you will spend a noticeable amount of time trying to find the ones that suit your tastes more, that provides the best isolation and seal and best sound signature, because they indeed change the sound. Add here a possibility to slightly tweak the sound with cables and this 3-switch sound tuning system, and you will understand that the area of experiments and amount of sound tweaks is huge. And you also can get third-party tips that can give you additional experience with this earphone. So FiiO created really good toy for the adult boys. Speaking about the tuning system, if I remember right, so switch #1 is low impedance switch. In the off position their impedance is 32 ohms, in on position it's 16 ohms. I can be wrong with on-off, so better look at the manual if and when you will get them. But I just describe the effects. So With lower impedance you will have more background noise, of course, with powerful sources, but also with low impedance you will have a bit more engaging sound with more accent on lows and treble. It's kind of bit more V-shaped. Or more natural monitoring with FiiO position. But you know, this difference is really small. So all these three switches are not huge sound changers, but this one is the most minor. Main change is volume, of course, and amount of background noise of your source. Switch number 2, it's the treble boost. When it's on, you will have more upper mids and lower treble. With off, you will have a bit less. And switch number 3 is amount of bass, and it's a bit misleading, because to get more bass you need to turn it off. So basically you can consider this switch as a mid boost. When it's on, they will be more mid forward. When it's off, they will have a bit more bass. But also don't expect like huge low frequencies boost. So for the FiiO engineers, bass boost is also a small amount of changes in the lower frequency domain. And as an example of player today, I wanted to get the M11 Pro or M15. You know that logic, like for FiiO earphones, let's pair them with FiiO DAB. But then I've decided to use my new freshly arrived toy. You know, big player for big earphones. So new iBasso DX220 Max or Max. So it will be the subject of one of the next reviews. And in terms of sound, FiiO created well, maybe not almost natural, but pretty natural model with slight accents on the low and treble. But of course it depends on tuning, switches and so on. So forgot to mention that I prefer the stock tuning. So 1 off and 3 off, 2 is on. Basically it's a high impedance mode with treble and lows boost. So it's the most V-shaped version of these earphones. And I like it most of all because they deliver most musical and engaging signature. Still, they are not totally V-shaped in classical meaning, so let's discuss that step by step. Bass is slightly boosted, but it's still boost is not big, even with bassy tips, even with bass boost on, it's still not super bass heavy or bass weighty model, because here used balanced armatures and here used this labyrinth to adjust the low frequencies, and bass here is tuned for those who prefer performance over quantity. Actually, if you need weighty and mighty low frequencies, you can consider FA7 or FH7. So hybrid earphones are created by FiiO for those who need more weight and more punch. But I like these low frequencies more because they are more technical. You will have more nuances of low frequencies instruments, more texturing, more speed. And at the same time they are not dry like some balanced armatures tends to be. I think it's because of this sophisticated internals. You will have the good amount of weight, of punch, but it's still balanced armatures, so don't expect dynamic driver performance, but resolution is good. Depth is also really good, but main accent is made on the mid bass, so deeper layers of bass makes a slight step behind. Of course they suit more for the acoustic instruments, low frequencies, at least to my taste, but they are pretty enjoyable with electronic music if you're not a huge fan of really boosted low frequencies. And as an example, it's heavy, 700 grams. Huge player with huge sound. Let me add more brightness. Let there be more light. So, as an example, I've got Tuomas Holopainen, The Life and Time of Scrooge, and track name is Dreamtime. I'm pretty sure that everyone knows that Tuomas Holopainen is the main composer in the Nightwish, but maybe someone didn't know that, so now you know that. And The Life and Times of Scrooge is a great, probably it's symphonic poem, or how to name it. So symphony orchestra with huge majestic melodies is, you know, the genre that I call engaging classical music, with lot of fun, with lot of changes in speed and tempo, with big drums, with all that low frequency rumble that big orchestra can deliver. And additionally in this track they also used, probably it's didgeridoo or some similar instrument with lot of low frequency resonances going really to the deep areas, and these earphones played really nicely, really lifelike, and because of their overall good resolution you will hear the good amount of all that small nuances that is present in this track, and there are really a lot of them here, like some kind of Easter eggs. Mids are detailed but not leaning toward the micro detalization. They are not sounding dry or monitoring. In this tuning actually lower mids are a bit rolled off, but of course you can fix it by the switches and by the tips if you want that, but I'm okay with this tuning. Of course in this case I'm lacking a bit of weight in some instruments, and a bit of presence, actually not weight, more a presence, because low frequencies here deliver the weight. I'm lacking a bit of presence for some instruments on the lower mids, but I still like this tuning because it's fun and engaging. I must highlight that once again, so if you want to change that you can do that. And don't expect like the maximum focus on the micro contrast, don't expect the delivering of every single tiniest nuance. FiiO just, it's not just the FiiO's tuning, FiiO prefer a bit accented macro dynamics, a bit added weight, but here actually almost no added weight, just a good balance of the weight present in record. So FiiO are fans of macrodynamics and emotions, not the micro contrast and resolution. They are pretty forgiving for the record's quality, but still of course require something properly recorded, really good and prominent vocals, really good presence of vast majority of instruments when especially properly recorded. So they require good recording, good mastering. They won't highlight some issues with record, but they will just reward you when the quality is nice. Imaginary stage is noticeably above average in width and in depth, but of course it depends, as staging is a subjective thing as usual. For me they are pretty noticeably above average, close to the biggest in this price range. But of course in your case there could be a bit different outcome. And as an example for the mid frequencies, what I've got, oh yeah, Hugh, Laurie and Evenin. You know, one of my greatest wishes and desires is to get at least one more album by Hugh Laurie, because he's really great actor and of course he's really good musician. By the way, slight off topic, if you have seen Avenue 5 with Hugh Laurie, could you please write a comment? Because I like that series, but looks like I'm in the minority, maybe because of not traditional humor, or I don't know. So I want to know, are my tastes spoiled, or there are people who actually like that? And let's go back to the music. Hugh Laurie's Didn't It Rain, great album of classical blues, and perfectly arranged and perfectly delivered with huge taste, with good record quality. You know, everything is done when someone likes the music and it's not his main job, but he's trying to pay the respect, and he is a talented person and he wanted to do it in the best way, so that's what we've got. Great performance, great vocal, good instrument, and actually these earphones suit this music really well because they highlighting a bit emotions and deliver that with passion and with necessary presence. And treble here is boosted, but actually not too much. Even with treble boost, they are still not too bright, too fatiguing, and so on. Treble extension is above average, but not hugely above average, maybe like average above average, or how to name that. So they require some properly recorded material in terms of treble, but not super critical in this aspect. Nice, clean and crisp treble. Of course, it's balanced armatures. They are a bit on the faster side with fast attacks and decays, so they are a bit lacking of that I call weight, but actually not weight. It's more like just more realistic attacks and decays. But of course they clean and crisp and sounding pretty engaging, giving you that amount of overtones, giving you basic layering and all these cymbals and percussion sounding pretty nicely and really in a really adequate way. And as an example for the treble, I've got one of the best records in the history of the music, both in terms of quality and in terms of material. It's Arne Domnérus, Jazz at the Pawnshop and Lady Be Good 30th Anniversary Remastering Edition. Really recommend this album for everyone. It's perfectly recorded jazz with tons of ambience, with tons of atmosphere, because it's recorded live in the jazz club, and you will get all the surrounding noises, and you know, it's just take you and deep into this atmosphere of the live performance. And thanks to the treble performance here, you will have these small nuances of the room where it was recorded, or hall, maybe it's more precise word here. So, to summarize everything about the sound, once again, V-shaped signature that could be changed a little bit, nice balance, good resolution, but not focused on the micro detalization, a bit more focused on the macro detalization, but still really good balance of performance and musical. In this tuning, a bit lacking lower mids, but this could be changed. In terms of pairing, of course, one of the best options, of course, it's FiiO's players like M11 and M11 Pro. Probably it's the most adequate range from the M11 to M11 Pro, but it's a matter of taste of what you would like to achieve. If you want to boost treble a little bit, get the FiiO's pure silver cables. I don't remember its letter, it's D if I remember right. FiiO has a lot of cables, so pure silver one boosting treble extension a little bit. It's inexpensive, but when you want to squeeze the maximum performance from your earphones, I think it's a good viable option. And speaking about the conversions, lot of models in this price range. Actually, let me think of some. For example, Fearless. I've tested some Fearless 6 driver model. I don't remember the letters, exactly letters, because there are different versions of 6 driver models, but Fearless was more weighty and tighter. But let's probably start with FiiO own models. So FA7 has noticeable boost in low frequencies and lower mids. So FA7 is much more weighty and less resolving. So this model is more natural and more technical, and for me, in almost every aspect, it's a noticeable step forward. FH7 is different in terms of tuning because there used dynamic driver. You will have a bit less resolving bass, but at the same time you will get more weight, and also FH7 has a bit less crisp and clear treble. This one is a bit more clean and clear for me. And other models, I don't know, Duno DK3001, a bit more natural with a bit more weight on the low frequencies because of dynamic driver, but more natural tuned, and a bit better mids but than this model, but a bit worse treble, at least to my taste. And SimGod EM5, or it's not EM, so SimGod $500 model. They are a bit underlooked, but they are actually really worthy models. They be more focused on the micro contrast and more resolving. AudioSense T800, they are cheaper, but still they will be often compared with this model because you like many balanced armatures, lot of knolls, but AudioSense is much more V-shaped, so you will get more bass, more treble, so more fun sound with more recessed mids, while this one is more natural, closer to neutrality. They are not natural, but closer to neutrality. I've seen that AudioSense released new hybrid in-ear monitors. We'll try to get them for review in some foreseeable future. Maybe not really soon, but anyway. So let's summarize this part because this review getting endless. Nice, good tuned, well balanced model for those who like technical but not monitoring resolution and who wants to get balanced armatures but not too dry, with good price to quality ratio, and who likes to tune the sound. So it's a typical FiiO, let's name it this way. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.